All right, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for being part of this creative webinar series. And today is the third of the sessions. Hopefully, you'll enjoy. I always believe it's also fun to talk about something that we are very excited, passionate about, and along the way, we can bring a lot of elements of novelty, innovation, creativity in education. In fact, just by the time I was doing this bicycle education, I got a message from my cousin where she says that Coldplay is coming to my area in Navi Mumbai. And I said there is no better time to learn cycling because there is a traffic jam and Mumbai police have given a lot of traffic authorities which routes not to take. So cycling is a lovely way. Quickly, thank you so much, Madhya ma'am, for sharing that info. And all of you, by the way, I hope you all have cycled at some point in your life. I am very excited about this session for multiple reasons. I think in this world of cars and fast living, sometimes the laziness of doing nothing is wonderful. I was just writing a blog today morning, and I wrote this point that there is a beautiful concept of the Buddhist Zen, and in the pursuit of zenith, we've forgotten the Zen in our life. I think swimming and cycling are so honorable mentions in terms of games. I did another blog on the Squid Games, and I realized we've lost the joy in simple things in life. The video games and the turf footballs have made our kids so cocoon and so restricted. They are champion Ronaldos, but still on their Xbox consoles. That cycling is one of the simplest joys in life. So thank you so much once again, and give me a raise of hand, all of you who have cycled in your life. All the cyclists out there. All right, I know Pramila ma'am cycled around, and I have to hear your story for sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can see Aparna ma'am doing it. Rafeen ma'am. I think everyone cycled at some point in their life, haven't we? Let's jump into this webinar. Hopefully we'll have a lot of conversation. As I am learning about my own style of conversation, I hope this is not like the Netflix. It's slow, like the way cycling should be. Also, this session is very dear to me, this particular session of bicycle education, because this was my first ever workshop I conducted at IIT Delhi, which is where the famous meeting with Sonam sir happened, and Sonam Wangchuk. I kind of quit my job at Delhi Public and wanted to spend my time in Ladakh school. And I told him, sir, I'm coming to what the school was called the Rancho School. And he told me, go back to where your heart is. I think he meant my wife, but I thought my daughters. But either way, I came back to Bombay and started the Golden Sparrow. And I think we're flying slowly as a sparrow should. Almost an endangered species. Another good point of trivia, but something very welcome news, is sparrows were marginally extinct. And today, while they're still endangered, they're not critically endangered. And I hope one day we have enough sparrows that pigeons don't come in Navi Mumbai. We call ourselves a flamingo city, Pramila ma'am, but we actually are pigeon city. Pigeons are rats with wings.
Yes.
So, I think all across Mumbai, right? There we are. So that's my little history with what I did with the bicycle education. In fact, I still have a dream of doing this webinar workshop on a larger scale where we actually get participants to ride cycles and show their skills. There's so many beautiful videos. It also allows me to go back to where I started my career from. In this beautiful city in Moscow, St. Petersburg, you see the onion-shaped domes there. And perhaps these small journeys make us who we are. I worked in this institute called MAA. It's Moscow Aviation Institute. Yes, I did my engineering before I became, I think engineers make good teachers. But the beauty of my work was this. No, I'm a teetotaler, don't worry, I don't drink. But when you sit with these scientists and then a few vodkas down the line, I was expecting them to talk about everything that Russians are known for, fun, flavor. And these Russians, the scientists I would sit with two vodkas. Imagine if we sit with a couple of old monk here in India, I think it will be Bollywood and sports and politicians and criticism. But they would speak education. And I was amazed. I said, what's in this vodka where education became so prominent? This got me excited about learning. I went to a couple of schools in Russia. I went to, Scandinavia, Switzerland primarily. I learned that relaxed schooling is the norm. Enjoy schooling. I would come back to Dubai where my office was, and where in Russia I would see all these institutes, aviation institutes, and this research institute. And as a patent scientist in Dubai, I would find only malls and shopping, and that is where my journey into education happened. I remember my neighbor in my office was a Parsi, and I asked, Daria Saab, I said, what should I do? Should I go and do education? And I remember Baria Saab saying so beautifully, he said, Beta, education, or he said, Dikra, education, nuksan na dese. For all of us, we understand this bit of Gujarati. Education won't harm you. Recently, I met an old uncle of mine, 82 years old, and I love meeting old people. No, I'm not talking about you, Pramila ma'am. You are young, please. But I love asking them, what would you advise yourself when you are 20 years old? If you were to meet your 20-year-old, and my uncle says that I would tell that continue your education. So all of us out here, at whatever space you are in, I know you are influencers, you are educators, you are teachers, you are mothers, and some fathers also, like few of us, Sangram sir and me. Please tell our kids to learn. In this fast world of chat GPTs and AIs, where it's very easy to write an essay or just plagiarize something, learning should not stop. This is what I did. I went across the world, did some work with Imperial College, did some work in few areas in Qatar, especially. A lot of my SDG lessons happened. Kolkata, I'm very much nostalgic about my city of birth, where I met Derek O'Brien, Siddharth Basu. My mother used to take me to these quizzes. And with my father in Merchant Navy, I remember my mother took me to see the elephants being fed in Alipur Zoo at 4 a.m. in the morning. I think you don't realize the kind of residual knowledge we give to our kids. I still remember that moment. And this is what brought me to Golden Sparrow. All the engineering and all the traveling led me to this idea that education cannot be confined to classrooms, be it micro schooling in Golden Sparrow Academy, be it online schooling. And I have some amazing colleagues now, teachers. The idea is keep learning irrespective. Today we're doing a webinar. I mean, I would have loved to do a workshop together. But even otherwise, if you learn something, if nothing happens right now, and you go back and say, okay, I learned, continue learning. We've done the job. I learned vodka is very good for education. I think that was not the purpose of my session. But anyway, you learned something anyway. Right. I will start with this little quote, and then I'll put all of you with your stories of education. All of us have heard this, right? Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Heard this kind of preachy sermon-like lectures? I think I found a better quote. And I found a quote by Reverend Desmond Tutu. He's also a Nobel Prize winner with Nelson Mandela. And he said, all the other stories about fishing is, just bull. He says, teach a man to cycle and he'll realize fishing is stupid and boring. I think this is the premise of bicycle education. The joy of taking this little cycle and running on the streets. No fear of falling around. No fear of somebody judging you. No fear of accelerating and showing the world how wonderful, how many cylinders your car is on. No guzzlers. No fossil fuels. Pure SDG work. This is what cycling means to me. Right, Pramila ma'am? So everyone knows I love talking to you. What's your first memory of cycling? And I love someone else also to add it. But tell me about your cycling experience.
My cycling experience started when I was 15, I think.
Okay. Nice.
And I learned, my dad was in the police department.
Mm-hmm.
So we had some orderlies at home who would be doing some kind of work which you can pass on to the orderlies, not washing dishes and things like that, but going to the market and things like that. And this orderly taught me how to ride a bicycle.
And this was in Bangalore, I believe, right?
In Bangalore. It was in Bangalore.
Wow.
And we were about 2 to 3 kilometers. My house was about 2 to 3 kilometers away from Mount Carmel College.
Okay.
And
nice.
I used to take a bicycle to college.
We just have a Bangalorean entered, Ashkia ma'am, and I think there was a time when Bangalore had no traffic. It's like thinking of India with a lot of tigers and leopards roaming around. I don't see Bangalore the same way. Can you cycle in Bangalore now, Ashkia ma'am, and others
I
want?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. No, no.
Or is it the only thing you can travel in Bangalore for? Like cars are, you can virtually walk with a car in a Bangalore. So,
You can still cycle, Islam Alaikum, still cycle in
yes.
Bangalore, but in the early morning hours before the
Okay.
traffic gets bad.
So you
There you
can't go to college on a bicycle.
No, no, no way.
You can't walk properly in Bangalore. Forget
we will
bicycle.
we will let the two Bangaloreans rant about Bangalore traffic before we move on. Otherwise, but there's so many memes on Bangalore. I wish they had an airport, service. It the amount of time it takes to reach Bangalore airport and from airport to the city in Koramangala and HSR is a nightmare. But I think it's a good premise for bicycle education. What I wanted to ask you was do this. How do you define a cycle? Anyone, just make an attempt. I love the way you all participate in the poll. It's a beautiful team when you see 30, 40 members giving a vote. What's your idea of a cycle? Remember, I heard you all, in the poll where you mentioned it's a eco-friendly machine, it's a toy. What's a cycle to you? Anyone,
It's a,
couple of pointers.
it's a simple machine.
Oh, lovely. I love that point. It is a simple machine. In fact, I was searching and I asked ChatGPT, what's a cycle around the world? And I got three beautiful answers. It says that a cycle is a child's toy, one of the earliest toy. And it's so true, isn't it? It's just not a means of transportation. It's something you cherish. It's the memories that are attached to it. Then it says it's a rich man's obsession. Oh my goodness, today, thank you so much. It is a balancing act, Rafin ma'am says. It's something today, cycles have gone way past what we would imagine. It's not you go to Decathlon and you see a cycle worth 1 lakh rupees, and it's like a normal thing. I mean, I can buy my unicorn, bike on that, but it is true. Cycles have become obscenely expensive, and perhaps it's an obsession. Yet, it is a poor man's last choice. We've seen so many of people around the world, cycling is a common thing. However, we sometimes confine the cycle to some very limited choices. Cycle should be a choice. If you see Denmark's prime minister travels by cycle, I mean, it is unimaginable in a country like India or America where we have security concerns. But what about CEOs? What about ordinary people? How amazing it would be if after just this session somebody says, hold on, let me invest in Amazon. By the way, there is a prime sale going on, the Republic Day sale, and you might want to pick up a cycle worth 3 to 5,000 rupees. Yes, Khadija ma'am, it's a workout option. All right, and Madhya ma'am says Salman Khan's human cycles have a whooping price. Someday we will buy one of them. But today's session, I'm going to do 4 lessons with you. 4 simple lessons on what cycling means to us. And these are the 4 lessons. That's it. No ambiguity. 4 things that we learned today, and hopefully each of them will teach us something beautiful about ourselves, about our education, and perhaps just how to lead a life. The first one is called the Google rule. A quiz is coming your way. The second one is a Frozen song, which is very personal, called Let It Go. Then we'll talk about an examination system around cycle called the Champions Challenge. And finally, we'll talk about, it's the other way around. And finally, we'll talk about a hero who's fall from grace from one of the world's best, most grueling cycle race. These are the 4 things we're going to talk about. So, very rarely do you see a multi-billion company whose owners and CEOs and founders are not so well known. And this is the strange case with Google people. I mean, ask 9 out of 10 people and they don't know who the owners of Google are. They know Steve Jobs, they know Mark Zuckerberg, they know Elon Musk, they know everyone else except the Google guys. Isn't it amazing? How many of you honestly knew who Sergey Brin and Larry Page were? You must have known. I mean, we've got a small audience, we perhaps, but how often do we speak about him? Is Google bigger or Facebook? Tell me, what do you think? Give me a thumbs up if you think Google is bigger than Facebook. There you are, absolutely, isn't it? All of us agree, and yet we see more of Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, thank you, Rafin, man. We didn't know the other guy. The other guy is a rich billionaire, right? Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And the strange thing about it is, even in mega corporate events, they are not invited. I mean, nobody sells on talking about Larry Page coming. You will have to say the owner, founder of Google coming in. how amazing their life would be. Do you realize it? For one, just look back and say, no, they are not Instagrammable. They can actually cycle in their own Google campus. This is amazing. So I read this book called The Google Guys, and you always know the workshops are filled with a lot of references about books, because I hope besides cycling, I can also encourage you to do reading. I actually bought 12 books in the Prime sale. Trust me, it's the best time to hoard books, spend some money, buy books, and you can thank me for the rest of the year. Now, in this beautiful book, there is a lady. Her name is Marissa Mayer. Marissa Mayer is also called the Google. Nice pun. She writes in the book that she used to get an email, and this is a put your Sherlock Holmes cap on. It's a question for you. Marisa says she got an email which says 37, 33, 53, 61. Are we getting a bit heavy, aren't we? What happened to the days of 13? She's confused, and she kept getting these emails from someone she knows, but she's getting this riddle kind of emails. What do you think is the person talking to her about? What do you think is the person
Age.
talking? Age?
Age.
Okay. Sorry?
Yeah, I said age.
Age. All right. So we're getting a little heavy. Okay. Weight. I like what Madhya ma'am says. Madhya ma'am, I'm reading a book, if you can see here. It's called The Obesity Code. And they asked me to rate, and I gave myself F for fat, not F for fail. By the way, I love the way she was decoding it. It's not weight, it's not age. What are we talking about? 61. Oh my goodness, you put 61 of these on your homepage? Where were the days of 12 and 13 and 15? And Marissa started decoding and finding, and she got the answer here. If you open up a Google page, you can actually count the number of words in it. And that is what the lady who was emailing Marissa was referring to. Your Google is becoming heavier. You're becoming text heavy. There's too much of word into it. Do you look at this image right now? How beautiful it is. In a white background, Google is standing out. It is this that what cycle is teaching us. We've forgotten simplicity in life. In a quest to do GREs and CAT and TOEFLs, we've forgotten the idea of using simple words. I think we all love to be Shashi Tharoor, but we also need to understand, isn't it? Charles, it is said that Albert Einstein once met Charlie Chaplin, and Albert Einstein kind of remarked to Charlie Chaplin, "It's amazing. You don't speak a word, and the world understands you." And Charlie Chaplin smiled, the comedian, and kids didn't even. I told this joke to my daughters; they don't even know who Charlie Chaplin is. Sad part. However, Charlie Chaplin replied to Albert Einstein, "You speak so much, and the world doesn't even understand anything. I will rather be silent and understood than give speeches and not be understood." And this is what a simplicity is. If you are an artist, remember the concept of white space. If you're making a PowerPoint, remember PowerPoints are not text document or Excel sheets. If you can put a PowerPoint slide with less than 10 words into it, that's what a slide should be. Yes, of course, I may have pictures into it, but please remember, the simpler you are, better it is. Our instructions to our kids, our students, the moment you give 5 discipline rules, none of them are followed. If I give 2 rules, they'll be followed. Trust me, that is what simplicity is. This is how a Google page looks like. And Google went back and they have a department only to make Google simple. Look at the logo. I mean, I have not seen a simpler logo of a billion-dollar company. And you have the next door Panwala shop whose logo is an arrow coming here, a Cupid coming here. There's 10 colors into it. Golden Sparrow also a lot of colors. Don't catch me on it. But life is simpler if you can convey. One emoji, one line sentences. Next time you try talking to your spouses, that is why Archies have cards, because men can't express emotion. We don't speak in words. We speak less. That's the whole idea. We were all taught by female teachers. What did we understand? It's nice to see an action movie or romance any day. This is what cycle teaches us. It's about simple things in life. Do you know the song called "Oh Simple Things, Where Have You Gone"? I almost come to tears when I listen to this song. Don't worry, if I sing, you will cry, so I'll not sing. But please go back, put on Spotify, put on YouTube. This is what I'm asking you. Listen to this song. Oh Simple Things, Where Have You Gone? This is what cycling is all about. And Pramila ma'am, you said simple things. Transformers, among the most complicated object, this is what transform is. They convert from simple things. Oh, thank you, Madhya ma'am. You can play dumb shots. By the way, let's have a more quiz around. Name these two transformers. We are talking to 21st century learners. I want you to know manga characters. I want you to know Avengers. I want you to know some sports people. Let's start with Transformers. Okay, thank you, Tanzim, ma'am. Fantastic. You know Bumblebee. The other one? Come on, come on. You can get 2 out of 2, all of you. Which world are they coming from?
Prime.
Some of you? Yeah, go ahead. Prime? Somebody said that? It's Optimus Prime?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes, Rafin ma'am.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Optimus Prime.
You just became younger by 5 years. Congratulations. Pat your back. This is what you're talking about.
I vaguely
So-
remember it actually.
You do, and this is wonderful. Now, what I'm going to do is, if you are all with me, and if you're just into the session, we're learning something, I'm going to share a whiteboard with you. I'm going to copy this whiteboard and try to teach you something wonderful. I'm going to put that whiteboard link in the creative webinar, and if you don't get it, just ask me about it. Try drawing a cycle on the whiteboard. If you can't access the whiteboard, draw it on a piece of paper. That's all. Just do it on a piece of paper or on the whiteboard I shared. Let me see if I can put the whiteboard here for all of you. I will also copy the link and put it right here in this chat box. Just give you a couple of minutes to draw a cycle. One of the simplest things that we spoke about. It's some fun. It's something very interesting. It's a beautiful idea. Just click on it. Go to your whiteboard and let me see if I can share this whiteboard with you now. Make an attempt and draw a cycle. That's all I'm asking. Let me see if I've got a couple of cycles being drawn now. Come on, let's do it. On a piece of paper or on a whiteboard, let's draw a cycle. Cool. I'll cancel this link. And okay, that's nice. Come on. I can see some of you. Fantastic. My goodness. Some of our cycles won't work, right? At least drawing a circle online is difficult. I'm seeing so proud. I'm seeing live work happening. I wish I could have visitors by the name, but you can sign your name. Oh, lovely. Whoever drew this dark cycle is brilliant. You have done something amazing. By the way, the other one that's happening is Gandhiji's Chashma. Let me just make it around. This is lovely. This is Gandhiji's Chashma. I'll use it on 2nd October. Yeah. There is this. I like the way you drew this monocycle. What is it called? Nice. Cool. People are great at attempting something. Wonderful. I like the way you're drawing spokes and making a cycle worthy of it. You should frame this. I can see a lot of you attempting. Oh, there is a cycle on top, which I think I'll have to go a little up out there on your vision board. Nice, nice. I can see good cycle. You can color your cycles, by the way. There are a lot of tools out there. I'll give you another minute, and then we will close this and we'll check what's happening with the cycles. Lovely. I'm enjoying your participation itself. I'm enjoying the fact that you are making an attempt. And as you're drawing, and all of us are kind of, in awe of your doodling and watching skills, did you realize what we just learned? What is easier to draw, a boat or a cycle? Those who are not drawing, oh, I love the way someone's really doing an attempted color. I love the orange, the purple happening. We've always been told, right? Boating, rowing is far more difficult to pick up than cycling. But drawing is a different thing. How often have you made an attempt to draw a cycle? Some of you are brilliant. I love the way the dark cycle has come. There's a spoke, there's a wheel, there is a seat. The cycle have colors. Maybe you can put a bell out there.
Just
Nice.
put a pedal. Just put a pedal. So
Oh my
cycle can
goodness. No, ma'am, we are not pedaling. We are going downhill. Love the way you attempted. Let me go back. Can I close it for now? Yes? We always are so good with our time. Thank you so much for all of you attempted. If you can raise your hand, I'll know who are the ones. Thank you, Ashkia, ma'am. I can see a cycle there. She signed herself. And you can put the other names also. Anyone. Just the fact you attempted is itself wonderful. I can see Madhya, ma'am. Aparna, ma'am. Okay, Rupa, ma'am said that. Lovely. You see, what we always assume was so easy ended up so difficult. Some of us did not attempt. It's fine because we are online. But please try it out. The whole idea of these webinars is have fun. I invest a lot in board games. I just bought something called Color Addict yesterday. Some work, some fail. But the point is we're spending some time doing a non-gadget activity. Drawing a cycle shows us that what is in our mind is not the same thing as on paper. It's the same way our kids think of maths problem. Oh, I've seen it on board, I can solve it. The moment you attempt it, it's so difficult. Life is this is my first lesson I'm leaving you with. Is cycling may be a simple object. Cycle is such a small thing, yet you can make transformers out of cycle. You can make life and meaning out of cycle. As Desmond Tutu says, the reverend said that cycling changes your perspective. Cycling allows the wind to blow on your face and look at the nature around, which a car will never tell you. This is the first lesson. Just understand simple joys of life. It's not necessarily cycling. It's just sitting and staring at your wife. Oh, thanks to the Mr. Subramaniam from LNT. Sunday is stare day. I mean, just the wife should not stare at the husband. They might get an eyesore, but you can stare at your wives. All of the men out there. But it's so beautiful. It's so simple things that we're talking about. Right. Let's go to my point number 2, which is what Frozen says. I think it was Elsa who said that, or her sister, about letting go. I made a small video about it when my daughter was probably 5, 6 years old. That's my Zingi Zainab. We've done a series called Haunted House with Zingi Zainab. You probably will be scared by the way we laugh on it. But I was trying to teach Zainab to cycle. For all my life, she was not learning. And if you look at our mass, you realize it was the COVID, we were empty roads, and I was pushing this girl around. She's 11, so probably she was 6 that time. And she was just not learning. I removed the wheels, and then I realized something that I forgot about it. I was not letting go of the handle. I was still holding on to the seat behind, and perhaps she was the fear of letting my little girl fall down, my princess, my Elsa fall down, was not letting me help her learn the cycle. How often we've done that? How often we've sat down and cycled and not let the wheel be on a child? How often we've been so particular about them learning maths the way we've learned? Oh, you don't know basic maths? I have seen kids who associate maths with the father shouting because we lost our patience. That is very important. As we grow, we have to let go of our boys and girls. We have to let the sparrows fly. I think we discovered the moment we did that, both my girls, this is COVID, we found this litter down there. We loved them. We named these pups out there. It was one of the most beautiful moments I had with my daughter. What's yours? When is the last time you took your kid on swimming, cycling, hiking, something, and you let them go? You let them fall. Let them hurt yourself and them, and just carry a pack of ice or what is it? Boroline. I love Boroline, by the way. This is one thing that I've seen they have not done. A cycle is a child's first big toy. H.G. Wells. Anyone who can tell me what is the book H.G. Wells wrote? I love to hear authors around and speakers around. One of the greatest science mind of our time on science fiction. This is something beautiful. I'll give you a minute to check about H.G. Wells. But he said, when I see an adult on a cycle, I no longer despair for the future of human race. And I think he said that 50, 60 years back. Perhaps I see this as a statement for SDG, Global Goal Climate Action number 13. 12, responsible consumption. H.G. Wells is the one who authored a book called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or that Jules Verne. He wrote a book called Time Machine. We are talking about someone who actually learned about time machine. Get on a cycle. Put your kids on a cycle. Let them go. Let them make mistakes. Allow them to have decisions that we have always held to ourselves. We have not realized the potential of letting them go. I always say the two biggest building blocks in a child's life is this your turbo cycle and a crayon. If you go to a child's home, the child is creative by looking at the graffiti on the wall. The ones who have not, there's a proper research. There's a book called Marshmallow Test, and it is said the kids who did not do graffiti on the walls were the very kids who did graffiti on the subways. Strange theory, they said. It's because there was no adult who could guide them, use them. I know a family that put like a slate on the wall. The lower part is said, "Let my child enjoy." Maybe school walls, maybe allowing them to explore, maybe buy them a book. But the idea is, when are you letting them go? Oh, by the way, we had some fun, and as my girl grew up, we were confident enough to ride cycle together. She's pedaling, and so am I. And this is, I think, it is in outside Lonavala. You have this beautiful Lavasa. Yeah, it's a place in Lavasa. Lovely. You go uphill and you rent these cycles around. But the beauty of it is, if we can just allow ourselves the joy of riding and then allow them to make mistakes. All of you are mothers and fathers here. When was the time you decided that, okay, my girl is big enough, she'll go abroad and she'll study, or she'll take the next train to the next stop without me worrying about it, without me sitting on a Google map and checking her whereabouts? All of us had this fear. Maybe we never wanted them to leave. And that is when what we call the emptiness syndrome. Enjoy them as they are with you. When they are young, spend time with them. Go around. Yes, as we make a joke around staring at a wife, but it is sad reality. Today, I love Anand Mahindra, who says work-life balance is not important. He said it is the only thing you do. So all of us who have been staying back late in our offices and working overtime, no, come back. Let go of the work and come back and play with your kids. All right, enough of me being a Sadguru, but these are two very, very vital lessons. Let me go back and take you to the third one. I've kept it light, I kept it easy for my whole idea. But before we go to the third examination, I want more stories. I want two more stories of your cycling experience with your dad, with your mom, you falling down, you having bruises. There's so many things that I can learn from. Should I ask Pramila ma'am, and then someone else will be encouraged, ma'am? Did you ever fall down from a cycle, Pramila ma'am?
Oh, more than once.
Oh, okay. All right. There you are. And did you give up cycling just because you fell down?
No, no, no.
Isn't it amazing? As kids, we are a different species. We are not worried. We just have the joy of doing it. Yes, as adults, we sometimes find it so difficult. I ordered a book called You Are a Placebo. It says that we sometimes forget. Being a mindset coach, I have my own demons. I have my own fears. And sometimes you must let it go. You must tell the world, this is who I am. And that makes you in a better shape. I think we've forgotten small things, little joys. That's the whole session we're talking about. All right. I think, yes, Madhya ma'am, please go ahead. Love to hear your voice.
Hello, good evening. A lovely session so far.
Good evening.
It was the fear of falling which never led me to learn cycling in my younger days. It was just for the SDG workshop pre-pandemic, and with the support of my husband, I started learning cycling in my 30s.
Wow. This is proud. This is
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. Hats off to your husband who was holding you all along.
And never let me
You were
go.
riding
Yeah.
and he was holding you all the time.
And he was walking and running. For him also, it was good. Pre-pandemic, when we had this break, those 20 days and all, when not too much restrictions were there. Early morning we used to go. I was cycling and he used to walk. And then when I started learning slowly, slowly, he started running. And Yulu cycles were a craze those days.
True.
So
And,
it
and, and
was
you know,
good fun.
I like the idea that you did not look at, oh, I did not learn as a kid. I'm not going to learn at all. This is the bravest thing you've done. Pick up, ride a cycle, go and do swimming, perhaps learn riding a scooty. Some things are beautiful if you just attempt it. And this is what we are looking at. We are asking ourselves, and maybe the cycle sales will increase. Actually, Amazon has some amazing cycles going on. If only we buy it. And maybe our kid may decide that, all right, the society is wonderful, the compound is wonderful. We always use the reprimand mode more. We tell them, don't sit on a mobile phone. What are the alternates? Board games are alternates. Cycling is an alternate. Sports itself is an alternate. But we need to give them this. The joy of doing something. Zumbas and singing and dancing is the idea we're going at. Now, this is where the crux of the entire education system comes in. I love the idea about cycling and examination. This is very interesting. This is a book, a beautiful book. I think of all the books I've recommended here, this is a lovely book by Tony Vega, and he writes in his book Most Likely to Succeed about a concept called BAT exams. Very interesting. Listen to it. He says He says that, okay, I must read what Akila ma'am said. That's very nice. So, I like what you wrote. Cycling made me realize how much my nephews love me. They're behind me to help me when I fall. Akila ma'am, they don't love you. They're afraid you fall and you have to be carried to the hospital. So they're more careful now. But I think yes, it's a joy. It's a whole family involved. Imagine. And thank you, Rupa ma'am, renting a cycle on a hourly basis. Oh yes, I remember 2 rupees per hour. Pramila ma'am was giving 10 paisas in our time to cycling with your daughter. This is nice. This is so wonderful. Pramila ma'am, what was your hourly rentals of your cycle?
Sorry?
There was an hourly rental for the cycles. Have you ever rented a cycle?
No, no.
Oh,
I didn't.
she's a rich woman. I mean, who
No.
no. This is wonderful. Oh, okay, a small trivia. Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is an adopted child. So his parents left him for adoption because they could not afford. They didn't want the child, and it is strange. It's a beautiful thing. I read his biography. He wants to find his biological parents, and he found his biological father running a cycle shop, ironically selling the cycle on Amazon. I mean, this is all about cycle trivia, but brilliant. So his father, who left him because they thought they'll be too poor, found their son to be the richest man running cycles on Amazon, whose father's selling it now. So it's a beautiful trivia. Anyway, coming back to the book, The Bad Exam. So Tony and Ted, the author of the book, they write that imagine our education system is like this. We have created an entire theory-based education system. So in life, to pass this special BAT exam, perhaps it's a take on CAT exams. It's called bicycle aptitude test. You are supposed to learn about the history of cycle, from monocycle, tricycle to the current cycle, the lectures in theory, the unit test, the number of gears on a mountain cycle. Yet you are never ever asked to ride a cycle. He said, what kind of cycle graduates would we have? This is a beautiful, hard-hitting book, which is exactly what our education system is doing. We are teaching them everything from history and geography, but never encourage them to hike, despite talking about the highest mountains and K2s around the world. This is our theories around algebra and geometry, but we'll never ask them to calculate the shape of a dome because that's not a part of our history. And this is what the cycle is about. Maybe I should attempt something with you. All of you who don't know how to cycle would do better on a test. This is proven. All of us who don't know how to cycle will do better on this test. Say, name the parts of a bicycle. What do you think? Make a random guess. How many parts can you find out? Give me some answers. There are 30, I guess. Let's do at least 10. I'm sure we can do 10. Speak it out, write it down. How many? Saddle, wheel, yeah, spoke, handle, bar. Thank you, chain. 6. Okay, this is nice. Wonderful. The paddle comes in, the chain comes in, the bar, the wheel rim. Yes, Sarah ma'am, fantastic. Good. I'm getting the brakes. Oh, how do we forget the brakes? Aparna ma'am, absolutely. The wheel rim. The more. I think we're getting the same thing over and again. Maybe we're not getting it. Sorry, the bell. There's a bell. Absolutely, there's a bell out there. There are gears. Sangram sir says the seat so important. Absolutely. At least meri gaddi mere paas rahe. And we are making an attempt, and this is what our examination is doing. This is exactly what the book says. There are all these answers out there. The front seat itself has a handle grip, the head tube, the shock absorbers, the front brake, the fork. The wheel has spoke, hub, rim, tire, valve. The saddle has a post and a seat, and we can go on and on. And yet, if you were to teach this to a child, theory them, memorize them, they can go and ace an exam, and yet they don't know how to ride a cycle. They don't. Thank you, Shazia. You need the lights also. They don't have civic sense. They don't know how to ride on a road. They don't know the road sense. They don't know the direction. And somewhere down the line, this is what is happening with the education system. And then we complain our kids are cheating because the exam fear is so much. The fear of failure is so high. Another research says, if you are sitting in front of the big B, Amitabh Bachchan and Kaun Banega Crorepati, what's your greatest fear? Your fear is not that you cannot answer a question or you win that 1 crore million prize. Your fear is, I don't want to go back losing and my friends make fun of me. The fear of losing is greater than the joy of winning. And we have made that through our examination system. It's time to relook at the examination system. Where are the authentic examinations? Where are the exit tickets? Where is the joy in even creating an exam paper? Remember, just the idea, if you allow a child to make a question paper, it is true that the questions are tougher and better. But we won't do that. Our egos don't permit us to do that. This is what the book is saying. So, what's the solution? It is saying that let's move on to something called the PBL. There's a brilliant course by a lady, her name is April Smith, very inexpensive course where she teaches you how you can bring project-based learning into schools. I was talking to Pramila ma'am in the beginning, and it was an idea. There are a group of students in Denmark. They made an entire project called the Cycles Path. This is what we do. SDGs, everything around cycling is SDGs. There's a series of 4 books. Pramila ma'am is an author of a couple of books. She's produced 6 books in all. Around SDGs, there are few of them. Pick up. And cycling is the closest you can come to nature in today's modern urban cities. Get them to projects, get them learn about it. One of the best lessons I can learn about cycling is learning about entrepreneurship. The doodhwala bhaiya. Think of doodhwala bhaiya. Think of someone called Lokesh coming and supplying milk to you. These are what we call the poor man's choice. I think cycling teaches us. Entrepreneurship. When is the last time we taught our kids to have a elevator pitch, prepare a business plan, talk about money? Today's Squid Games and Beast Games, they are the reality shows, very popular. Deep down, it is about poor money management. Squid Game is a fictional Netflix series, but it shows people in depth who do anything to earn money. We haven't taught them the real joy of life. Maybe cycling is an exaggerated version, but that's what we're asking our kids to do. This is a movie I recommend called Bikes versus Cycle. It's a beautiful documentary, an award-winning documentary, which talks about the joy of just riding. Oh yes, no, Madhya ma'am. Nowadays, even my newspaper guy comes on a bike, and I'm happy. This is the growth India is doing. This is the new Bharat, the Viksit Bharat. That's a dream. But what we are saying is get back the joy of sometime doing nothing. Remember what I said: the Zen, not the Zenith. The joy of being there. Imagine doing a project with our kids called Bikes versus Cars. The cycles. That's what we're calling them. I love the way the poster says, this one burns your fat and saves you money. This one runs on money and makes you fat. I'm not against car. They're very valuable, they're very important. But I love the idea of carpooling. Even today in Golden Sparrow, we get kids coming on a cycle. We don't have school buses. And maybe with a micro school, I can afford to do that. But maybe I want to create a joy. Perhaps Navi Mumbai, perhaps some of the areas are more conducive to cycling. But the concept is bicycle is an education in itself. Oh, thank you. Yes, Khadija ma'am. Cycle improves your health. It improves your mental health. At least you can't message somebody on a bicycle. You can't be on an Instagram while you're cycling. I dare not. I know some of my students, I dare see them holding a mobile phone. I'm scared for them. But that's what we're talking about. That's my 4th. This is my 3 lessons so far. We spoke about cycles as simple machines. We spoke about cycles as the toy that starts with letting go, our kids, allowing them to explore. And the last thing we spoke about, the joy of cycling, not the BAT exams, not the bicycle aptitude test, but actually playing the exam, running through the cycle and doing it. In the last 15 minutes that we have got in the open floor for Q&A, your suggestions, your summary of the 3 sessions we did, I want you to take you to a very, very different conversation. This gentleman, anyone who knows his name, I'll be very proud, or the tournament that he's participating in, it'll be nice to know. So 2 questions here. I'm doing a simple test. All right, Shabana ma'am, thank you. Yeah, she knows him like she's like Lance. All right, Lance Armstrong. All right, so this guy's name is Lance Armstrong, one of the GOAT. He's like Lionel Messi of cycling, or Virat Kohli of cycling. Right? He's the GOAT. All right, interesting. All of you who love conspiracy theory, I'm sorry, I just love talking about things like that. The first man on moon, what's his name? They share the same surname. Who's the first man on moon?
Neil
Yes,
Armstrong.
I know you know that.
Neil.
You're too embarrassed to answer because
No,
this we knew as a kid, right? Yeah,
Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong. All
Armstrong.
right, thank you. Yes, this is Lance Armstrong, right? Thank you so much, Sarah, ma'am. You wrote it down for me. It's a conspiracy theory. I love the idea. There are people who say man never went on moon. US just fooled because there's Cold War going on, and somebody actually came up with a very interesting answer. If you reverse the first word Neil Armstrong, if you remove the word Armstrong, just A and Neil, what does it form? Can I write it down for you? Alien. Interesting, isn't it? They said that the US just fooled us by having alien out there. I love these theories, so it's something fun to talk about with kids and in trivia's around. Let's come back to Lance Armstrong. Yes, Khadija, ma'am, this is Tour de France, and it's nothing about Neil Armstrong. It's for you to remember. At least you won't forget this guy. Tour de France is one of the most tough endurance days, racing per se. Even in triathlon, you have cycling, but this is like the epic of cycling. It's the Olympic of cycling. You're cycling uphill, and it is the French Riviera. You going up the hill. It's beautiful, and Lance Armstrong was the hero who was always winning until he was diagnosed with cancer. Amazing, isn't it? And he says I was in the hospital going through prostate cancer, and I realized my life is over. I realized it's it. I'm not going to do anything about it. And in the same hospital was my spouse. She was delivering our baby girl. And as they brought my daughter to me, as I held my daughter in my arms, I told myself, I am not going to give up. I'm going to live for this girl. And I think sometimes you just need that little passion, little push. And Lance Armstrong goes back after cancer and ends up winning the highest number of Tour de France, around 6 or 7 titles every year. One of the most growing. He taught us how to defeat cancer. That's his book called "It's Not About the Bike," but the story gets more amusing now. And eventually, he retires a very celebrated, very decorated cyclist, and he is found guilty of doping. He's found guilty of drugs, and he was stripped of all his medals. And in a very candid interview, I think he was on Oprah Winfrey, and where he said, "I just couldn't take a no. I couldn't take a loss for an answer." He said, my daughter gave me the impetus, but I still felt that I'm not winning enough. And then he realized it was all about proving to the world. Today we get these trophies and certificates and names, and sometimes they're absolutely meaningless. What are you from inside? Neil Armstrong has a story which has two sides, the dark side and the good side. And perhaps our education system teaches us that. We always hinder on good marks, and sometimes the pressure of marks is so much our kids malpractice, our kids have pressure, they have phobias. And this is what this man did. It's a very interesting story of Neil Armstrong. There is an entire documentary again on Netflix, which when I spoke about last month, about perhaps it's a lesson for us. Push your kids to excel, but don't push them so much that in the point of pushing, you push them off the cliff. You push them so much that they, instead of flying, they jump off it. And this is where we are worried about. It is always said that we are not so much worried about our light, our darkness, we are worried about light. They will shine in the field they wish to. Maybe some of them are not meant for engineering. It's okay. There's always teaching for all of us. But there's always an exam that we are asking our kids to write. It's his NEET or IIT or CET. Please, life is much more than these examinations. Lance Armstrong showed us you can overcome anything. I don't know about diseases so much, but I believe now I can overcome my mental depression. I can fight my demons. But then I will not succumb to what the world tells me. Those achievements are meaningless. Simple joys of life is what we're talking about. This, my friend, is what bicycle education is about. I think we learn so much about ourselves, and this is what I did when I started researching. I leave you with few resources. I spoke a lot about books and cycling and bikes. I love to hear your feedback. We finished 3 months. You've been consistent in coming to these sessions, and these are some of wonderful movies around cycle. Because I speak a lot about books, I thought I'll give you some more movies to talk about. There's a book called The Armstrong Lie. The book, it's not about the bike, is a brilliant book about his overcoming cancer. The movie Armstrong Lies about him falling from grace. And there is another book called The Bicycle Dreams. I think these are some brilliant award-winning documentaries. There's another one. I think if you've got nothing, just go and watch Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar, the nostalgic movie on a cycle race where it announced the arrival of the Amir Khan, isn't it? And then there is this Bicycle Dreams I just spoke about. Brilliant movie, very heartfelt, very simple, very easy to understand that life is all about overcoming one obstacle, one road at a time. And finally, I leave you with this movie, my favorite. It's an Iranian movie called The Wajda. It's about a girl, the father, how the society, the patriarchal society, does not allow a girl to get a cycle where her brother gets a cycle, and how she overcomes and fights to get a cycle of her own. Just this one tool, one joy of cycling. Wajda is a brilliant movie. Iranian movies are what I call the Malayalam movies has done to Indian cinema. Brilliant, riveting, heartfelt, emotional, very nice. So I leave you with a lot of resources. As always, I promise you the presentation, the recording, and now the certificates will be shared on the same group. You've been an amazing audience. I think we enjoyed the idea. What we learned about is let's make our life, not just education, meaningful. Pick up a cycle because the best roads are the ones you haven't explored yet. Pramila ma'am went to Arunachal and Bhutan last year. She's going to Vietnam, and I'm accompanying her this time, and we'll cycle around. And lots of dreams, lots of ideas. I think you make my day, ma'am, and all of you out there. Don't wait. If you wait, we'll be waiting for the rest of our lives. Thank you so much. I love to hear your feedback. We've got a few minutes more. Just share what you learned today, and I promise you, everything will be uploaded in a day's time. Thank you so much. Over to you, Pramila ma'am. Ma'am, you're muted, please. Sorry.
As you were talking about now education from the bicycling point of view, I was relating it to the academics that we have. Now, you said let go. Now, and you also gave the example of not letting go of the bicycle of your daughter because you're worried that you will fall. That's what all of us do. We don't let the children explore. The child is sitting down, he wants to eat by himself. No, the mother has to feed the child. Why? Because the child will make a mess. But that's the only way the child can learn. There is one beautiful story which comes to mind. There was this man who was sitting down and watching the chrysalis stage of a butterfly, and the butterfly was coming out. It was struggling. So what he did was he cut the pupa and let the butterfly come out. But the butterfly was not what it should be. The butterfly was it had wrinkled wings, and it was not looking like a butterfly at all. It is these struggles that make us blossom. It is these struggles which make us give us the ability to cope with things, to face things. And that is what makes us a better person than what we are today.
Lovely,
the
ma'am.
struggles of life. The
It's
struggles of
beautiful.
life hone our skills.
I think I love just adding on to the last point before all of you. I love the analogy of butterfly, and I just I love this. I collect these trivia's over the years. There's so many of them. Butterflies can never see their own wings. If you look at a butterfly, they've never seen their own wings. Sometimes we don't see our own kindness. One act of kind word, one smile, one encouraging word, and you have changed a child's life. You've changed a spouse's life, and it is so important. Do that. Spread the joy. Let us cycle our lives. Let us make our lives so simple. Let us be approachable, all of us. Good luck. God bless. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you again in a few months' time with another session on webinars. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sarah, ma'am, for lovely words. All of you, you've been so wonderful with your feedback and comments. We'll open the floor. And everyone, see you. Bye-bye. Let's cycle.
Bye.
I think we'd love to share all your pictures on a cycle in the group. Maybe at least I'll be proud if I see 5 of us. Thank you and have a great time. Bye.
Bye.
What did you say about locates?